Hello and welcome to the Evercade Retreat. Gene Joke here, and today I'm doing a ranking review of all the games on the Gremlin Collection 2 for the Evercade. I have done individual reviews for these games and they feature in my Ranking Every Evercade Game Ever list thingamajig series of videos. So this will be a shorter ranking than my previous ones where I hadn't done the games individually before. The Gremlin Collection 2 has definitely divided opinion. There are many who love it and many who thinks it's absolute trash, and some of you may have an idea of where I sit on this already. I have nostalgia for a couple of these games and I still found something to enjoy in all of them, so yeah, I like it. But let's give it a breakdown. So starting from my least favourite game, which comes in at
number 4,
is Reloaded, the sequel to Loaded, which is also on this collection. Reloaded is a top-down shoot 'em up in the style of Gauntlet, where you control one of a bunch of psychotic criminals on a mission to take down a bad guy called Cheb, who was called Fub in the first game. It has a 90s as balls edgelord aesthetic to it. There's gore everywhere, explosive weapons, a ridiculous plot. It's essentially mindless violence. As I understand it, this game had a very short development cycle, being released a year after the first game, or maybe less. It was apparently developed in about 5 or 6 months. The levels are 3D graphics or 3D maps, although they're viewed entirely from a top-down perspective, and many of the levels manage to look worse than those in the first game, although some do definitely look better and have more variety. But you also have issues with some enemies blending in with the scenery, and many of these enemies don't look particularly impressive either. It's a sequel that visually took one step forward and one step back. On the audio front, it's almost on par with the first game. The sound effects are pretty similar if I recall correctly, and the music is almost as good, but I didn't find it quite as memorable. But it is very well made, I just didn't enjoy it as much. It also lacked any music by Populate itself or some other bands, just the composers of, well, from within Gremlin I suppose. But where the game really took one step forward and 3 steps back is in the gameplay. They did make some improvements, having the map mark out where you've been, and having enemies that attack you with ranged weapons as opposed to them all just charging at you adds a bit more, I suppose, strategic gameplay to it. But to counter this, they made it so you slow down when you're firing, really lessening the pace of the game, making it a bit more of a methodical shooter, but it loses the madcap, ultra-violent chaos that made the first game fun. There is also more variety of gameplay in the levels. However, none of them are as interesting, and for the most part the changes they made to make it more interesting have the opposite effect and just make the game tedious. Overall, it's a disappointing sequel.
number 3,
Is Buggy, a 3D racing game where you race around in remote controlled cars. Or was it radio controlled cars? Well, radio controlled because if it's remote it's with a wire, which that's how I considered it when I was a kid, but who really cares? It's a racing game, one that doesn't look like much, has some pretty good music, has an interesting power-up gate system, and a reasonable variety of courses. Oh well, it's definitely best played with analog sticks. It's a very average racing game, but there is some fun to be had if you can look past the visuals and accept it for what it is, a slightly unusual, mediocre racing game.
number 2,
Is Hogs of War, a 3D turn-based strategy party game where you control pigs trying to roast each other with grenades and bazookas. It's essentially 3D Worms before there was a 3D Worms, and some would argue that it's superior to any 3D Worms games that they did make. Personally I don't believe so, but it's not far off. You have voiceovers by Rick Mail, which do add a bit of humour to proceedings, and the pigs have humorous comedy voices, much like the Worms do in the Worms games. Much like Worms, it's a game that's better with multiplayer, and is also a type of game that you're either going to like or you're not going to. It doesn't tend to be much middle ground. Once again, it's not an amazing looking game. I understand this is a compromise had to make to have all the action going on and the large environments. But even so, it doesn't look great, especially for a game that came out so late in the PlayStation's life. The sound is fine, unless of course you don't like the voiceovers, but it is the gameplay that makes this game. And as I've pretty much already described it as 3D Worms, but with pigs, there's not really much else to say, except that I like it. But mainly for the multiplayer. I do find the single player a little bit tedious after a while. This is a game best played with friends, which is why it took the 2nd spot and not the number 1 spot.
number 1,
Loaded, which is a top-down multi-directional shoot-em-up in the mould of Gauntlet, where you run around shooting masses of enemies, picking up keys to get through gates, getting various power-ups. Oh, and I mentioned that it's edgelords as hell, 90s as hell, uber violent, and has a sort of techno-industrial soundtrack, featuring a couple of songs from the band Pop Eat itself, which surprisingly were included on the Evercade edition, because to be perfectly honest I was half expect them to be removed for licensing reasons. You control one of 6 psychos, or 2 if you bring a friend, on a mission to take down Fub, which is Fat Ugly Boy, the name of the bad guy, as you escape from prison, blow loads of things to hell, smearing blood all over the walls, while probably getting lost in some very large levels in the process. Loaded is a very straightforward game, shoot everything that moves, pick up the coins and power-ups, and shoot some more things. It's in no way deep, clever, or revolutionary. Visually it's very much a PlayStation game, and seeing as it was an early PlayStation game, well, it doesn't look amazing, but it does the job. But I do like the design aesthetic. Although many of the levels do get quite repetitive looking, there isn't a huge amount of variety in the visuals. The sound and music are very good, everything sounds meaty and metallic, and the techno-industrial soundtrack suits the sci-fi setting perfectly. The action can be rather challenging and the levels large, which can lead to a little bit of tedium, and the simple, I suppose quite repetitive nature of the gameplay can make playing it solo, well, a little bit tedious at times. Although personally I found it was fine as long as I only played one level at a time. If I didn't take a break and play something else between levels, it would get a bit much. Overall, despite a few flaws, it's a good fun bit of mindless violence. That's even better if you bring a friend.
Overall opinions.
This isn't a bad cart as long as you can tolerate PlayStation 1 games. If you very much feel that the early 3D games don't hold up, this might not be the cart for you. But if you have nostalgia for Loaded or Hogs of War, then you'll probably get a kick out of this collection. But it has to be said, there isn't a truly excellent game on this collection, but also there's nothing completely terrible. Well, unless you hate strategy party games and can't get past early 3D graphics. On the flip side, it's easily the most diverse of all the Giga carts so far, as the others have been series specific. Broken Swords, Tomb Raider, Legacy of Kain. They're very much you like it or you don't. Gremlin 2 offers some shoot 'em up action, a bit of strategy and some racing. That's not a bad thing, aside from none of it truly shines. To give the cart a score out of 10, I'd have to give it a 7 out of 10. But if you're one of these people that struggles with early 3D like the PlayStation games, you might want to take that down to a 5 out of 10. Anyway, that's it for this video. As usual with these cartridge reviews, I'll leave out with a silly song based on one of the games, and I'll see you in the next video.
Gas in shades of bendy, gravy boats disguised as tanks, piggy propaganda and porcine ranks, wigged out Winston a bacon mission, sows in boots with hogs of vision, clicks the maps, inflate the law, war is hell but smells like bore. War zones, low drones, grunting in code tones, wanting till the end, it's pixel backbone, squeal for your country, snort for your sins, swine will survive while the sausage wins. Pig-shaped Zeppelin, AI blitzing, bacon discipline, tea time trauma, jam controls, rations packed with pixel rolls, shrapnel rain in Yorkshire drizzle, snaps encrypted cockney sizzle, boots exploding, polygon shame, Churchill oinks, victory's the game. War zones, low drones, grunt scuff glam, war crimes filed in a frying pan, coding errors, glitch divine, the Queen rides shotgun on a porcine man!